Hello, America. Let's talk. How many of you watching me right now could go down to your local district attorney's office and demand to see his investigative files? How many of you? Anybody? Anybody watching me right now that knows so much can walk down to the DA's office. Pam Bondi is the DA of the whole nation. But just go to your local DA and say, I'm here. I want to see every witness interview in an ongoing investigation. I want to see every piece of evidence collected on everybody, whether you charged them or not. I want to see it. Bless God, I'm a taxpayer, and I got every lowdown right to see them. I demand to see them. I'm here for justice. I'm here for the victims. I want to see every victim statement, every confidential informant report. I want to see every surveillance video, every wiretap, every piece of raw intelligence. Can any of you do that? I would encourage you now, if you don't have the ability to think, you're not going to be able to handle this tonight. The rest of you hang tight. If you tried, security would escort you out, because what you're demanding is insane and it is illegal. And this is exactly what Americans, including many of you tonight, are demanding. You are demanding that the Department of Justice override all of their procedure and their protocol to give you the files. For the first time in 5 years, I have seen a crack in Donald Trump's armor. I've never seen one before yesterday. When Donald Trump capitulated to the mob, Marjorie Taylor Greene, all the people that are demanding these files, for the first time in 5 years, I was disappointed in my president. He's still my president. I'd still fight and take a bullet to support my president. I'm disappointed. It's the first time I've ever been disappointed. I elected Donald Trump to restore law and order. Now, I'm not mad at Donald Trump, and I understand why he did it. Because the more things change, the more they stay the same. This very thing happened 2,000 years ago. Donald Trump has simply, what Donald Trump did yesterday when he said to the Republicans, vote to release him, he washed his hands of what he was trying to protect. If you want to understand this moment, you don't need a political science degree, you just need a Bible. Pilate was the government. He had all the authority to prosecute criminals. He had the responsibility to issue justice, to be fair, impartial, go with the evidence. And Pilate had the files. Yes, he did. He had seen them all. The criminal in the case, his name was Jesus Christ, or Yeshua, the Messiah. He was the accused criminal. And the government looked at all the files that the Pharisees brought to them. The Pharisees brought this file and said, look, he did this, he did that. And Pilate looked at it unbiasedly, just according to the law, to see if he could prosecute Jesus Christ, to see if there was a there. And so here comes the government, Pontius Pilate, and makes a decree. Are you ready for their decree? We don't have the evidence to prosecute this man. We find no fault. We are the arbiter of justice, and we found no cause to prosecute him. Now, in the normal world, everybody would have went home and said, okay, we'll pray for another day. But not that day. The crowd did not care for non-biased judgment. The mob wanted a spectacle, and they wanted a villain. They wanted a name. They wanted a body. They demanded the government override its own findings. They demanded blood. They didn't want justice. They wanted a spectacle. They didn't want justice. They wanted blood. Many of you right now claim the only reason you want to see these files is because you want justice. I say you're wrong. If you wanted justice, you would have placed your faith in the Department of Justice that you elected. But Pilate could not stand his ground. He could not defend the innocent against the crowd. So what did he do? You saw it yesterday. Donald Trump called up the Republicans in the House of Representatives. You know what Donald Trump said? I have tried to protect what's about to happen. I've tried to protect innocent people that when these documents hit the city square, it's going to destroy life. I've tried. But the people will not honor our findings. So I washed my hand. Donald Trump has spent years resisting political witch hunts. But he stepped up to the basin yesterday. A man that fought to protect law and order, and with one statement, release the files. He washed his hands, not because it's right. It was wrong. Donald Trump failed yesterday. Not because it's constitutional, because it's not, but because you demanded blood. And that's the crack in his armor. First one I've seen. I've never thought I would see him give in to the crowd. Mr. President, you did not bend under Rob Mueller. You didn't buckle under impeachment. You didn't break when the FBI raided your home. Do not break for this. Do not trade law and order for street justice, because this is not about Epstein. This is about whether America remains a nation of law or becomes a nation of mobs. Listen to me, America. You have no right to override justice. Your neighbor, Bob, he gets investigated for 6 months. The FBI finds nothing. No charges filed. Do you know why no charges are filed? Bob may have done a lot of things wrong, but those FBI agents know that they have to convince a jury beyond a reasonable doubt. They have to spend millions of taxpayer dollars to convince that jury. So they investigate your neighbor Bob for 6 months. Yes, his name showed up in some bad places, but they realize they cannot prosecute. They don't have enough evidence, and they don't charge your neighbor Bob. According to the Constitution, your neighbor Bob has the right to go on with his life. However, a few months later, the file goes public. And the headlines say, Bob, your neighbor, is being investigated for embezzlement. Nobody knew about Bob before this leak. And Bob is an innocent man. Bob deserves for no one to know his name. But after today, his life is over. His job, his reputation destroyed, his employment terminated. And I ask every one of you watching me tonight, is that justice? Quit saying you believe in justice. Justice comes through the duly elected Department of Justice, whether you like the results or not. Why would any witness ever cooperate if they know their statements might be released to satisfy political pressure? This is why grand jury materials are secret. This is why prosecutorial files are confidential, not to hide things, but to preserve the fabric of justice itself. Now, let's talk about we the people. Well, Professor Toto, we have a right to know. No, you don't. Where do you get that you have a right to know what's happening in the halls of justice? Because we the people. No, you're not. I'm fixing to destroy that entire we the people thing in the next 3 minutes. So prepare yourself, because it's not going to feel good. The education you're about to get is not going to feel good. Listen, I don't believe we want justice. I believe we want blood. The Democrats want to find something about Trump that's not there. Trump said, look, there's nothing in there about me. I couldn't care less. I'm trying to protect other people whose lives are going to be destroyed. Now, Rhonda Ray asked a great question. We the people, let's talk about it. When the Constitution talks about we the people, it's not talking about you. In the eyes of the Constitution, you as an individual do not exist in we the people. No, because our government is a representative government. We the people are those people sitting in the House of Representatives. You. And the moment you cast your lot and elect a representative, you have created a proxy. You no longer exist in the eyes of the Constitution. What exists is the one person that represents everyone in your district. Those files belong to Congress. They don't belong to you. They belong to your representatives, not you individually, not the Twitter mob, your elected representatives, and the president that we chose to appoint a Justice Department. That's how a republic works. We created government to protect us from ourselves. The founders knew that we, the people, when whipped into a frenzy, are perfectly capable of destroying innocent lives and shredding people's rights. Do you know that the Salem witch trials was not conducted by tyrants? They were conducted by who? We, the people. Lynch mobs were not ordered by dictators. They were carried out by we, the people. That's why we have grand jury secrecy, so we the people don't know anything, so that we do not go to the streets for vigilante justice. That's why prosecutors, we empower them to make discretionary decisions. Pam Bondi has full constitutional power to say, I've looked at the files, and yes, there's some ugly stuff in here. But where we have a picture, we don't have a witness. We don't have this, we don't have that. I'm not willing to go to trial and be embarrassed in front of the whole world and turn this into a circus and leave out with the people we charge going home scot-free. That is her right by our Constitution. Prosecutorial discretion, judicial review, constitutional protections that protect us from ourselves. For decades, my greatest fear has been judicial tyranny, activist judges. But after today, that's not my fear anymore. My greatest fear is citizen tyranny, the mob overriding constitutional protections. Our representatives are caving in to us. giving in to the loudest voices in the room, not the rightest voices, not the wisest voices, the loudest voices. Most Americans, I'm going to tell you the truth tonight. Most Americans, we couldn't care less about the Epstein files. They don't affect our lives one way or the other. It's not the American people that's demanding this. It's the loudest voices in the room, and that's not how a republic is supposed to work. Here's how I lived my life. I voted, I cast a vote for the executive office. I said, I trust this man. He gets my vote, and I give to him my right to see the evidence. And his cabinet that he chooses, that's how justice works. What we're looking at tonight is the tyranny of the minority. The reason I'm on this microphone tonight, I'm a believer in the republic, not democracy. You are watching democracy unfold before your eyes. You see, 10,000 voices can get on Twitter and make it sound like 100 million. A discharge petition with 218 signatures gets treated like that's the will of the people. No, it's the will of the loudest people. And that scares me to death. Our founding fathers created a government that would never give in to the will of the loudest people. Let me be clear with you tonight. Are you ready? Attorney General Pam Bondi stated there are tens of thousands of videos of Epstein with children or child porn, and there are hundreds of victims. So the mob is demanding all this child exploitation material. We want to see all the victim interviews. How disgusting are you? You really want to read this stuff? Do you know what's going to be released in those Epstein files? Witness statements. Now listen, you say, oh no, they wouldn't do that. No. We're demanding not selective release. We're demanding everything. Everybody on the news is saying, let it all out. Is that where we are now? Let it all out. Do you know that the names of every person that was investigated is going to be in that release? Do you know that? I know it makes some of you happy. That's what's wrong with America. The names of every person that was investigated and cleared now go up for public domain, whether they were charged or not. That scares me to death. Let's just say that your name, Samantha Smith, Tammy Slagle. Thank you, Tammy Slagle. She said, Pastor Vaughn has enlightened me tonight. Thank you. Ginger Patton, you're right. People are nosy. Let's just say tonight, Mary Spear, that your name is in that Epstein file. Not because you did anything wrong, but because you met Epstein one time. You had no idea what was going on, and he had you clean his house for 6 months. You was a temporary worker, and you got investigated. You didn't do anything wrong. And now, suddenly, your name's going to be in the streets that you were there. Now your name goes public. Your life is over. Doesn't matter that you're innocent. The mob has spoken. So Professor Toto, what should Donald Trump have done? If I was his counselor, here's what I would have told him. I'd have said, Mr. Trump, your speech needs to start like this. My fellow Americans, I understand your anger. Jeffrey Epstein was a monster. But I took an oath to defend the Constitution. And that Constitution protects investigative files to shield victims, protect witnesses, and preserve the presumption of innocence. That's in the Constitution. I would have said 2,000 years ago, Pontius Pilate had files on an innocent man. He knew the truth. But when the mob demanded blood, he washed his hands. And history remembers him today as a coward. But remember, my friend, on the day he did it, Pontius was a hero. History says he was a coward because he knew the truth. I would have said, Mr. Trump, tell the people I will not be Pilate. I will not wash my hands of a constitutional responsibility. Even if you think I made a campaign promise, my oath is greater than my promise. Mr. President, I would have told him to say this. If you want to punish the Epstein associates, and we all do, then charge them, try them, convict them through the legal system with due process. But I will not throw open investigative files and let the mob dispense street justice. I would have told him to say this. We are Americans. We believe in law and order, not trial by Twitter, not guilt by association, not mob rule. And Mr. Trump, I would have told you to finish your speech with these words. I'd rather disappoint my supporters than betray my oath. That would have been real leadership. Instead, he caved. First time I'm disappointed in him in 5 years. You're a fighter, President Trump. You're not a wuss. Unwash your hands. Don't give away innocent people to the crowd. Let wisdom guide you. The voice of reason is very rare. I don't hear nobody saying it nowhere. I've gone through every podcast. Nobody's saying what I'm saying. And sometimes I look around and I say, God, hit me in the head. What's wrong? But somebody has to tell the truth. There must be a clarion voice that tells you, my fellow Americans, shame on you. Your founding fathers would weep at what we're doing right now. If the Congress decides tomorrow's the vote, that they can force the Department of Justice to release investigative files, and they're going to. Trump authorized it. If that happens anytime the public demands it, what stops them from doing that to you? The protections are gone. It's over. Justice is over. Don't like your political opponent? Demand his investigative files. You want to destroy a competitor? Force the release of his investigative files. This is mob rule. They're calling it accountability, and it's the total opposite. It's not accountability. It's mob rule. Tomorrow's vote will likely pass, and when it does, constitutional protections become negotiable. Depends on the crowd. Victims tomorrow become collateral damage tomorrow. Oh, they're going to redact their names. Hold on, wait a minute. You can redact the names all you want to. All you got to do is read around the names and figure out who they're talking about. I mean, come on. Tomorrow in this nation, innocent Americans will be destroyed because they're no longer protected by law and order. We just told America the mob can override the law if it screams loud enough. I've spent 40 years in ministry. I've studied the scripture. I've studied history and civilizations. Civilizations do not collapse overnight. They rot from within. And I'm going to say something tonight. The rot, I thought the rot was in Washington, D.C. The rot is in us. They just represent it. Then our willingness to abandon principle for passion, and our readiness to destroy constitutional protection to satisfy rage, Pilate thought he was making a political decision. Give them what they want. Keep the peace. Avoid the riot. It seemed reasonable at the time, but history said he's a coward. He could have saved an innocent man. This is how republics die. Not with a bang, but with applause. Tomorrow, you listen to me. When this passes, everyone but me will be clapping their hands. And I will sit here and pray for America. Because tomorrow, the mob, they will applaud as the crowd demands blood. The files are coming. The files are coming. We're going to know everything. Everything you was not supposed to know. You will applaud as constitutional protections are stripped away. What is our choice? We can be a nation of laws where constitutional protections matter, where due process exists, where the innocent are protected. Or we can be a nation of mobs, where whoever screams the loudest gets to destroy whatever they target. But we can't get both. The House votes tomorrow. The crack has appeared in Trump's armor. And unless we choose for stand for constitutional principles over mob justice, the armor will shatter tomorrow. And with it, the rule of law in America will fall to the ground while the nation applauds. Mark my words, you will not see anyone on the mainstream media tomorrow with any concern about what they see. The rabid dog is loose. Somebody said, well, Pastor Vaughn, what about the innocent children? What about them? Those children were born in a fallen world where sin abounds. Do you understand, beloved friend of mine? If you think for 1 second that there is justice in this world without the return of Jesus Christ, Yeshua the Messiah, do you not understand these precious children that were harmed by this monster? They may get no justice in this world. I would love for them to, but it looks like they haven't so far. Do you think us unleashing these files is going to bring them any more justice? No, because here's why. There will be certain people that will go, aha, there they are, but you can't get a conviction. What good did you do? But I give you my word. There will come a day when every wrong will be made right. Every scar will be healed. Every pain will be healed. Until then, we do the best we can, but we do it by the law. Somebody has to say enough, and I'm that guy. It falls my lot to be the least popular of all the podcasters. I was hoping that Trump would not wash his hands. I was hoping he would stand where Pilate fell. But he didn't. So now it falls to me and you, the American patriot, to stand for law when everyone else demands blood, to defend due process when the mob wants destruction, to refuse to wash our hands. We will never give up law and order for the mob. It's not glamorous. What I'm doing tonight is not glamorous. Do you know how many people have already clicked off because they don't want to hear this? It's too reasonable. Makes too much sense. We prefer passion. Rabid animals. We screamed about all those people in Minnesota. We called them animals when they were burning down buildings. Are we not burning down the Justice Department? We called them animals. They were turning cars over. They was blowing up buildings. Are we not doing the same thing? Are we not blowing up the decision of the Department of Justice? It's not popular. It won't get me any new followers, but it's right. The voice of truth is undeniable. And it will never leave your head. You made a mistake. You stayed too long. You listened. The voice of truth has a sound all of its own. 2,000 years ago, a government official washed his hands. condemned an innocent man to satisfy a mob. History remembers him as a coward. History remembers the mob as the murderers. History never remembers the mob as the righteous. But they believed they were righteous. Now you know the best of the story. Thank you for tuning in tonight. I had to share that with you.